Arsenal 0, PSG 1. There's still hope for Mikel Arteta in the Champions League. Being 1-0 down from a great Dembele strike isn't ideal, but things will have to change in Paris next week. I'll break that down at the end of the video. But we're going to break down what happened at the Emirates, a 1-0 loss. I didn't see that coming. Maybe I saw PSG scoring in this game, but I thought Arsenal were going to have enough to score at least a couple of goals tonight and take some sort of advantage to Paris, and it's not happened. They're going to have to do it the hard way. They're going to have to dig in. It's going to be one of the biggest results, one of the biggest turnarounds Arsenal have ever had in Europe, because this PSG side, I don't think they're perfect. I don't think you're ever going to be perfect if you play in the French league, with all due respect. There's still some massive gaps in their intensity, their energy. But this is a PSG side as balanced, as formidable as I've seen in my lifetime since the Qatari takeover of PSG. All the fantastic Galactico players they had. This is the most balanced, possession-based side. They actually had more possession than Arsenal in this game, which tells you everything you need to know, because Arsenal on their day can control the ball. They did it very well against Real Madrid, put massive pressure on the Real Madrid back line. It never really felt like Arsenal had 5 or 6 major chances to really put PSG away. They had 1 or 2 that we're going to break down in this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Let's just start off with the early part of the first half. Dembele, he's so good. He did it against Liverpool, if you remember, at Anfield, of going into that midfield space, dropping into the kind of number 10 position, if not a little bit deeper, just ahead of Declan Rice, in between the space between Declan Rice and Odegaard, and getting the ball on the half turn, giving it to Kvaratskhelia on the left-hand side for PSG, coming back and almost getting a 1-2 from Kvara. A beautiful little ball on the right, on his right foot, on the outside of his right foot, giving it back to Dembele. It is a finish of the highest standard. It's a world-class finish. Yes, he bobbles it. Yes, he dinks it into the ground a little bit. But it is an element of control to a finish, which is absolutely outrageous. It's the fine margins that get you into the Champions League final and actually win you finals. And it's very, very high standard. It's a very, very good finish. It's a beautiful ball from Kvara, who is absolutely dangerous all game. If Arsenal lose in this way and they don't score in Paris, they'll be gutted, because to concede that early on is absolutely so frustrating. Obviously, the midfield dynamic did not work for Arsenal today, in my honest opinion. They moved the ball very stiff. Declan Rice did not influence the game. He wasn't able to get anywhere near Neves, anywhere near Ruiz today. And that is obviously down to the Partey booking from the Real Madrid game. When he comes back, I think Declan Rice will have the legs, the energy to press a lot higher. I have to say, I'm just going to come to it as I come to it. There's no particular order. I think Odegaard had an absolute stinker today. I don't... Look, when Declan Rice scored 2 free kicks and Moreno had a fantastic game at the Emirates a few weeks ago, I said it as it is. I'm not trying to be biased, but Odegaard was absolutely dreadful today. He really was. You can't always get goals and assists that everyone on Twitter loves. And Odegaard's got far more to his game than just the pure numbers of being a footballer. He can link up play. He can drive beautiful balls 25, 30 yards to a teammate on the left-hand flank, on the right-hand flank. He can control a game. He's a maestro. His numbers aren't always going to be the best, even when he's at full flow. But today, he got completely outshone by every single midfielder that was playing. And even Ethan Nwaneri came on for 5 minutes. I thought he had a better game as well than Odegaard. Odegaard today didn't show for the ball enough. I thought he tried to look busy. It never looked like he was running through the lines, breaking through the PSG lines. Wasn't physical enough. It just was another 5 out of 10 passenger game from Odegaard. I'm not trying to be hypercritical, but this kind of performance, you need to compete against PSG's midfield. PSG knocked out Liverpool, who have had arguably the best midfield partnership in all of Europe this season. There's an argument in Gravenberch and McAllister. These guys peeled these guys off easy. You need your midfielders to work exceptionally hard, and I'm sure Odegaard did. But when you're on the ball, take risks, put pressure on PSG, have possession. Where's the possession from Arsenal today? Not just a few moments, a few chances here and there. We're talking about the Martinelli one, the Trossard one. Why is Miles Lewis-Skelly popping into midfield on the half turn, breaking between the lines and giving the ball into Martinelli and giving him the best chance Arsenal had to get back in the game? Why is that happening from a left back who's 18 years old? absolutely incredible from Skelly, and I thought he was fantastic all game. And really, Buvey didn't really do much against him. Let's be real. Buvey's fantastic. Why is that happening? Why is that not Odegaard? I get he's maybe a little bit higher up, so he's closer to players, and Skelly can drop into space because he's coming from the left-back position. I get that. It's not the same position. But Odegaard today, you're playing against Ruiz, Vitinha. These guys aren't powerful. They're technically good on the ball. There's going to always be space between them, between Pacho, Marquinhos. There's space between the centre-back and the midfield at PSG. Always will be. Aston Villa had chances. John McGinn was breaking through the lines. Rashford. So they're not a perfect defensive unit. They're very good on the ball, and they're very cute on the ball. But why isn't Odegaard doing more? Why isn't he doing more? The Skelly chance gives it to Martinelli. Beautiful little weighted ball on the inside of Hakimi. It's a terrible attempt for Martinelli. He hits it at Donnarumma's height. He could have lifted it into the near corner. You need Champions League level forwards on the left, on the right, down the middle. Saka is world class. Declan Rice bordering world class. Saliba was world class today, but put a big challenge in. Maybe David Raya, Timber, Skelly, all on the precipice of being in that kind of conversation for some of the best in their position in world football. Maybe. But Martinelli, nowhere near it. Trossard, nowhere near it. I thought Martinelli had a good game against Real Madrid, by the way. Both legs. But Trossard, nowhere near it. Trossard had a chance on his left foot in the second half. Almost a similar angle. But on his left foot, so it's a little bit more difficult. And he kind of hits it soft. It's a P-roller into one of the best keepers in the world, who's 7'5" tall, and he's just going to get to everything. He fills the net out. There was a lack of just raw world-class quality from the front lines from Arsenal today. And Saka got double man marked. The ball out to him was always slow, pedestrian. It didn't quite work. If Saka's getting double marked, you have to have the midfield runners. You have to have people going between the lines. What De Bruyne used to do on the kind of half space between a left back and a left side centre back, whip that ball across the face of the box. That never happened today. And PSG stopped it happening. I thought Mendes was fantastic. I thought the two centre backs were good today. But you can always get a PSG. You can always count the fact that their intensity in their league isn't quite good enough, and they're always going to have spaces. And today it just didn't happen. And actually, Arsenal were so frustrated in their attempts to get the fans on side and try and build some sort of narrative going to Paris that they weren't smart, they weren't switched on, and they could have been 2 or 3 or 4-0 down. Buvey had a chance. They hit the bar with Ramos, who came on. Bradley Barcola had a chance when he came on as well. Really, really frustrating if you're a PSG fan that actually didn't go to Paris with 2 or 3 goals. So Arsenal have to actually count themselves lucky that they're only 1-0 down. Let's be completely real. How are things going to change in Paris? I think there's a lot of cause for optimism. I think Partey in the Parc de France, getting on the ball, pushing Arsenal up when they're on the ball, having 5-10% more possession will be really, really important for Arsenal. I think you've got to bring on Ethan Nwaneri earlier. If it goes to 65 minutes in the second leg next week, Ethan Nwaneri has to come on for Odegaard a lot quicker. I think he's got the ability to score a goal. We've seen that in the Champions League against multiple times this season, but for against Girona in a game at the end of the league phase. So he's got a goal in him more than Odegaard this season. I think that's fair to say. Ethan Nwaneri has to come on earlier. You have to get something more out of Trossard and hope that Saka and Rice can bail you out. I think Arteta would be frustrated, livid, if Arsenal didn't get to a Champions League final, because PSG are beatable. They are. They're not perfect. They're never going to be perfect, but they were fantastic tonight. I think Arsenal still got a good chance. I'd say they've got a 40% chance now. I think it was 60% at the start of this game. It's gone down by 20%, but they're still in it. Stranger things have happened in the world of football. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Partey comes back. I think we can turn it around. Make sure you subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you very, very soon.